Well, I've flown in here to the UK to celebrate Christmas with my friend Martin. I certainly hope there was no comical miscommunication and he didn't fly to where I live to celebrate Christmas with me. Wouldn't that just be silly and contrived? I guess I'll call him on my phone. I'm here at Big Ben, which I think you said you can see from your house. I don't find you anywhere.
Tommy, I've just landed in that place where you live, and
The
and
place where I live?
unfortunately I do not see you
Dude,
anywhere.
dude,
All that I
get out
see
of there. They'll eat
is
you alive. Have you seen where I live?
I know they sell coffee, and there's some sort of eatery, and I'm surrounded by what I believe is every American landmark, including all your favorites, um, the White House, the Niagara Fall, I believe it's called, and the statue of, I think it says Liberty, but that doesn't sound quite right.
That's right. When it gets really cold, North America just Pangeas all of its landmarks into Colorado. It's a weird phenomenon.
You've got to keep them safe. The frost gets in, it could cause damage.
Right, right. We don't want snow to get on Buckingham Fountain in Colorado, so we just store it next to the Golden Gate Bridge in the Denver, Colorado airport.
Of course. Well, I mean, it makes them less of a target for supervillains.
I feel like you were about to say terrorists, and you like thought better about it at the last second.
It's Christmas. I thought I'd tone down my controversial aspects for this episode.
uh,
Something
not.
Pac-Man did not do.
I would rather deal with Al Qaeda than ghosts who are constantly threatening to munch me, whatever that means.
Did you enjoy the three seasonal episodes that we watched for this incredible Christmas special?
So, one of them, not remotely. One of them was cute, but I don't think necessarily good and mostly nostalgic. One of them was one of the funniest goddamn things I ever saw in my life, and I don't think for the right reason.
I'd be interested to see which one is which.
Well, I guess the theming this year is that this is a Hanna-Barbera Christmas. These are all three Christmas specials by the good folks at Hanna-Barbera, who made Scooby-Doo and Yogi Bear and the Flintstones and all that good stuff. These were just lying around the Cartoon Network vault every year. So what you experienced today, Martin, was roughly a December evening when I was 6 or 7 on Cartoon Network. It would be a block similar to this, with a few others thrown in here and there. That we'll maybe save for other years. I found the weirdly mysterious one I kept babbling about, by the way. Someone on Reddit directed it. So that might be next year. It's called 12 Tiny Christmas Tales, and I wasn't delusional.
I see. This is the Christmas ornament one that you could not quite remember the title of.
Yes, yeah. That's always just the best feeling in the world of, oh, this is fucking it. So maybe that and the hip-hop one I showed you might be next year, the 19th.
Oh, yeah.
If we remember to next year, we'll see.
Yeah, if we're still around next year, we'll do those two.
All this eggnog might just like finish me off. I don't know, man.
What is eggnog? Is it made of eggs?
You don't know what eggnog? Have you ever had eggnog?
I had an eggnog latte just the other day. I couldn't tell you what it consists of.
I don't think it's so. A drink mixture of beaten eggs, cream, and flavorings, sometimes with alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
We only have 30 sweet noggy days before the government takes it away again.
Got some eggnog left for breakfast.
Oh, right. Man, but I'd rather have eggnog than... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, what do you want to do first?
Gosh.
I think we should go for the worst one, which undoubtedly, I think you will agree, was Pac Man.
Yeah. Christmas comes to Pac Land.
What?
Because I was going to say, I'd rather drink eggnog than nondescript power granting pellets.
Packnog?
Yeah. Packnog in your pack house that you pay a pack rent for to not get pack evicted.
It was very like Smurfs-esque the way they just found a way to put the word pack into everything. Not
Now that you
always
mention,
successfully, and sometimes, a bit of a racial epithet going on at certain points during this, which I don't particularly want to repeat what Pac-Man's wife nicknames him. Suffice to say, it is not something you say in polite company these days because it's quite offensive.
I don't remember actually. I don't know if I have my finger on what you mean, but I won't make you repeat it.
Maybe it's not as bigger thing in the US as it is over here, perhaps. But it's certainly used by people in a derogatory fashion.
Do
To
you have the stomach to put the clip here?
Yes, I will. I'll put it up
Okay.
now.
Trigger warning in three, two. Whoa! I can't believe she just said that.
Pac-Man and his racist wife.
I want you
What's
so I do distinctly remember this one airing, like I said, on Cartoon Network, but it would air without me having the prior knowledge that there was a Pac-Man animated series back in the day. So I'd be assaulted simultaneously with learning there was a Pac-Man show and this was the Christmas special, and that there is a Christmas special with a perfectly human Santa Claus in this universe.
Yes, he's not Santa Pac, nor is he Pac Claus. He is simply Santa Claus, a human being.
Insinuating that this is like a region of our world
I guess
with
so.
with humans like you and I that Santa stems from, and he visits the malformed, perhaps the result of like a nuclear fallout. They've all turned into packs. And it's nice of Santa not to forego them of Christmas. Just act like it's a totally normal thing that every person, food, and animal in this region of the world is circular.
Yes, because as we find out in a later Christmas episode that we'll be talking about, Santa can quite easily forget an entire city for 20 years, perhaps.
Oh, completely. Um, gosh, I guess,
What's
and
I was going to say,
sorry.
what's the plot of this? Because I couldn't discern one. It's a bunch of stuff that happens to the Pack family at Christmas.
um, so I guess you have to understand the conceit that from what I can gather, the everyday conceit of this show is that the evil ghosts from Pac-Man are just constantly on the prowl for the titular protagonists and
Yes.
harassing to munch them, which I don't really know what that entails per se because they're just trying to add deep because Pac-Man the video game is just this borderline abstract matter of a disembodied mouth eating ghosts,
Yes.
and they're trying to like add an internal logic that the ghosts for whatever reason just really want to gum up Pac-Man, put their mouths on it. They get away with it in this special, and it doesn't kill him, it just leaves him dazed in the snow like a homeless guy. So I don't know what they have to gain from just chewing on Pac-Man like seniors at the early bird special at Denny's.
Well, Pac-Man, you need to know your Pac-Man lore because if you if you came into this and had no idea what it was, you'd never played any Pac-Man games, and suddenly all the characters just wanted to eat one another, and Pac-Man himself ate some of the ghosts. He eats them quite early on, and they do their
Uh,
thing that they do in the game, where they reduce the little eyeballs and they go back to their source or whatever it is. Leading to the best moment of this episode, where they're reduced to their little eyeball state and they're flying back to wherever it is they come from. And they just barrel into Santa Claus.
oh,
Oh fuck! And then that's what causes the main plot of this. They just crash right into him, and he crashes his sleigh.
five disembodied eyeballs are what brings down Santa after years of service.
It would be a great live action remake if they ever did do this. Like just five pairs of disembodied eyeballs flying towards Santa Claus.
All the details they have, like the strands hanging off,
Yeah.
the veins. Oh boy. um, Gosh. So since Santa crashes and it's all Pac-Man's fault, really. Pac-Man offers to help regather the presents while his friends nurse the reindeer back to health, and they try to save Christmas. And along the way, it's like in this cold winter's night, Pac-Man is munched by the ghosts again, whatever that means, and left to die in the snow, all in the name of I don't know a Nintendo Switch that the citizens of Pac Land are going to throw away after playing 3 times.
Do you think they play Pac-Man?
Well, there is a big box in the snow among all the toys that simply has the word game written on it. Um,
I didn't see that.
so I wonder if that's Pac Man. If it's like, well, Pac Man's a local celebrity from his appearance in Pac Man, you see.
Of course. It's. I mean, there's really not very much you can do with Pac-Man, and
No.
the fact that there was a Pac-Man series, let alone a Pac-Man Christmas special, is just mind-boggling to me. And that Hanna-Barbera were the ones to do it.
Yeah, I feel like if this was the 80s, the way it looks, there were quite a few like people were making cartoons of Nintendo games and maybe a couple Capcom things. And Hanna-Barbera was probably like, we want a piece of that pie of video game adaptations. What's left? And they all that's really left is Pac-Man. They're like, ah, fuck. Well, here we go.
It's the least adaptable game, I think. Like even if you made a game based around Pong, I think at least you could make something. Like oh, the tennis players. There you go. That's the thing. Like Space
Yeah,
Invaders, you could make something out of that. You can't make anything out of Pac-Man. There's nothing to be done with
no.
a giant yellow head eating things. It's just why would you bother? It's
And
so
it seems like a
bizarre.
strange assumption to say the reason Pac-Man is the way he is because he comes from a land where everybody um, is that way, is a big head, unless you're a ghost monster,
Mm,
which is its own thing.
yes. Um, it's weird that this was even targeted like towards kids. Like not that they would target it at adults, but like, who was what was the logic behind making this a cartoon? It's so strange. I cannot fathom the meetings. Like, what are the kids like? What's this Pac-Man character? He's got a wife. What? It's all ready made for us. This whole history. What does he do? He goes around and he eats ghosts. I love it. Let's just do that. What's the plot, Chief? It doesn't matter as long as he eats the ghosts. The kids will be happy. I can't really unsettles me that that this is a thing that exists.
Well, this feels like almost the ultra. This feels like we're in the wrong timeline. And what we should have gotten was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon that was almost based on Pac-Man, but they lost the rights at the last second. You know what I mean?
MacPan.
But yeah, it's like we'll make Mr. Circle and change a few things at the last minute. But we are in like the quasi timeline where it is just straight up a Pac-Man series. The
Why?
same timeline where Mario was Popeye all along.
Why did Pac-Man never get adapted into the extended Hanna-Barbera lore?
Like, is Pac-Man like in Jellystone crossovers and stuff? I don't think
Exactly.
so.
Yes. Why not?
I think Pac-Man is Pac-Man's voice the same as Doggy Daddy.
He sounded really familiar, but I couldn't place my finger on why. Maybe we
It's
have heard
not
him before.
a voice I'd ever associate with Pac-Man.
No.
Well, come along, Pac baby. We gotta go save Christmas.
I recognise some. Neil Ross is in this. I recognised him from other stuff.
Wonder which is he one of the ghosts?
I think he was, yes. Marty Ingalls played Pac-Man. What notable things has he done? Um, let's see. Career. Doesn't look like he's really done many other. Oh, hang on. He played Autocat in the Motor Mouse and Autocat cartoons on the
That
Chattanooga
was
Cats.
that's complete gibberish to me.
I'm glad you said that because I've never heard of it. And he was also Beagle Beagle. Beagle, the first Beagle spelt with two E's, the second Beagle spelt with EA, in the Great Grape Ape Show. You ever seen that?
That's not real.
The Great Grape Ape. He was the voice of the titular character in the animated adaptation of Pac Man. As late as 2010, Ingalls was cast. That's not relevant, but he was in an episode of CSI. What's the Great Grape
What?
Ape Show?
My pack wife was murdered.
the Great Grape Ape Show. It lasted for 3 years. It was another Hanna-Barbera thing.
Which is weird for it because usually Hanna-Barbera makes one season of something and like just air those 15 episodes in sequence.
Yeah.
We have enough.
What's the premise? The title character is a 40-foot purple gorilla with the mind of a child. His catchphrase is saying his name twice. Grape ape, grape ape. After anything anyone says, usually as a form of agreement or acknowledgement of what was said. He travels the countryside with his canine pal, Beagle Beagle, whom he calls Beagly Beagly. Grape Ape's immense size tends to initially shock and frighten those unfamiliar with him, and his presence alone has often terrified people and animals, causing them to run off screaming invariably, "Yeah! A gorilla la 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 la!"
What the
The only exception to this was the character Rosie O'Lady, voiced by Janet Waldo, is that a name? Who appeared in episode 11, The Indian Grape Call. This is a extremely detailed Wikipedia article. Given his size, Grape Ape
Wikipedia,
sneezes
or
were
is it?
equivalent to a hurricane, and when he cried, which was sometimes when he was homesick for his family, his tears would cause flooding in different areas. When
This
he does
sounds more
wrong,
like a fan wiki than Wikipedia. This is like someone way too enthusiastic.
it really is. When he does wrong, he also famously says, "I'm sorry." Famously, eh? Which is done so often, Beagle Beagle knows when it is coming and sometimes says it along with him, though often in a playful way. Would you like to know how many episodes there are of The Great Grape Ape?
Let me take so 3 seasons. I'm gonna go with a classic round animation run of 64.
You'll be pleased to know there's only 16.
3 seasons?
Apparently, I don't think this can. There were 3 very small seasons, I think, by the looks of it.
What on earth?
Oh, it didn't last till 1978 at all. Perhaps
Grape Ape is just such a physically large character that he could endure for smaller numbers of episodes. They were like, Grape Ape is so big that one episode of him is like 10 of Yogi, all right?
Would you like to hear what crossovers Grape Ape has appeared in?
Let's hear it. I know he is in Jellystone. He's in that one.
In the episode, in the Dexter's Lab episode, Chubby Cheese, Grape Ape, voiced by Jeff Bennett, was among the animatronic Hanna-Barbera characters. Grape Ape also made a cameo in an episode of The Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy.
Oh, that's the one where he gets beat up by Gamera.
Grape Ape, of course. Grape Ape was featured in the episode Grape Juiced of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Oh, he's been in loads of stuff.
Grape Ape. I was gonna say, yeah, that's the one where there's like a kaiju episode of Billy and Mandy, and he gets beat up by Gamera. Do you know the story about the Dexter's Lab episode where people accidentally fly? That's that one the Grape Ape is in.
Oh, interesting. No, I do not.
So it's like they sent the storyboards over to Korea, and they said the crowds of people take off, as in a bunch of people leave after the animatronic show.
Mm-hmm.
But that was interpreted as take off as in fly. And so they sent the animation back with a crowd of people just inexplicably flying off into the air for no reason. And they thought it was so funny that they kept it in and explained nothing.
That's amazing. I've heard various people, like, it must originate from somewhere, but everyone reuses the anecdotes about them. Someone just writing, like, he was riding shotgun in a script, and the animation came back, and it was just a man riding a giant shotgun.
Was that Mario?
I feel like maybe it came up around that time, yeah. Maybe it was Mario, yeah.
This sounds about right to me. I could be wrong. Anyway, enough about. I think we've had enough of Pac-Man.
Enough about grape ape. um,
This brings us to the town that Santa forgot, which is a good middle. You know how
oh, they call him grape ape because he's purple. Of
Why did
course.
you,
I've
you
just
didn't
figured it out.
realize?
I wondered what the grape connection was, and I didn't put it together.
He's a perfectly normal brown gorilla, but if you happen to lick him, he tastes like grape Fanta.
I don't think that's made clear by the title. You could have called him the Great Purple Gorilla, and I don't think anything of value would have been lost.
Uh,
If
Golly.
indeed there ever was anything of value.
I want like the perfect record scratch when you just bring us right back to
I'll get there eventually.
all three of our main characters of these specials in the thumbnail, just and Crepe Ape just shoving them out of the
Finally getting his time to shine. What if there's a Grape Ape Christmas special?
way. If there is, I'm sure there is.
Grape Ape. Ape Christmas. You'll be pleased to know that there is.
Good. Wonderful. The town that Santa forgot's about to be the special that Martin forgot, because I don't think we're going to get to it.
Is this one up next? Yes.
I think that makes most sense. I don't think we want to save it for last with the other.
No, I don't think so. So, uh, Dick Van Dyke's in this.
Yeah, that's
um,
neat.
and he rhymes. He does everything in rhyme, which is my least favourite thing ever. And every time I have to listen to something that is entirely in rhyme, I lose the will to live, which I did with this. Because I think it's after a while it just becomes very lazy, and you could literally be saying anything as long as you get the cadence right and
Right.
you insert like two words that possibly work together. Martin
No,
was
yeah, true.
sad because he'd forgotten the cheese, but Santa came with a swarm full of bees. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to match up to what's on screen. Just keep saying nonsense.
I thought this one was cute for what it's worth. I This was one that I got really excited about because specifically the clip of him playing with the ghost with invisible strings really lived rent free in my head for some reason for a long time. I think because as a kid I didn't understand how invisible strings worked, and I was waiting for like the big payoff of what am I going to really remember about this one. And then it turned out when it was revealed his name was Jeremy Creek, and the whole conceit of Jeremy Creek is a place came up. I was like blasted to another dimension. Like, oh, now I remember. Um, this is the story of a young man named Jeremy Creek who is a fucking brat and cries for everything he wants and is not. And so he writes to Santa a gigantic Christmas list of a billion fucking things, like 1,000 fucking items, and he sends it over. And because his name is Jeremy Creek and his demands are so large, Santa assumes that Jeremy Creek is a place. And they find out that there is a place called Jeremy Creek, which Santa has forgotten for many, many years.
Mhm.
The titular town that Santa forgot. And it's like a heartwarming twist where one kid's selfishness actually turns out to be something really good, and he grows from the experience.
Yeah, you've summed it up. Um,
Yeah. I think that's like a cute idea for a story. I think it's based on a poem about Jeremy Creek.
okay.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a cute idea. I think the problem is this would make like a better storybook than a cartoon because there's really nothing remarkable visually about it.
I think it could have done with being 10 minutes shorter.
Oh, completely.
Because I felt like I was watching this for hours.
It's only half an hour long, yeah, but it does like kind of want to stretch itself out.
It does. Yeah, it's fine. I can't really object to anything in this one. It's a lot of like Berenstein Bears style wholesomeness, and it gets the job done. I do like the the parents who just give in to the kid every time he screams at them. And
Ugh.
there's one bit in particular where the mom has obviously had enough, and she's like, "Right, that's enough." And then out of nowhere, the dad barrels into the living room, and he's like, "You heard your mother!" And like, until that point, the dad has done nothing. He's just been sitting idly by and just giving in to this kid. But it's like he seizes the opportunity as soon as his wife finally stands up to the kid. He's like, "I better get in on this quickly."
Oh man, the spirit of Christmas possessed him. Even though that place took that point of the cartoon took place in July,
Oh yeah, because
established he sent his letter many months ahead of time and is waiting this whole time.
there's like a 50 something day countdown, isn't there, to
Right? Yeah.
Christmas? I don't know how accurate that is. Is that because it's like 55 days or something like that with the elves holding up the sign? And I
Yeah,
was
something
like,
to that. That would be like back in like two. That's only like 2 months. That's back in October or so, give or
yeah,
take. Well, you have to have some suspension of belief that number one, Santa's incompetent enough to miss a whole poverty-stricken place called Jeremy Creek,
so he said.
and
That was what he puts a positive spin on this whole thing. I think it's just like, he just Santa just doesn't care about poor people. That's his problem. And the second it came on the news, he conveniently remembered where the town was, because the news presenter lady is like, Christmas hasn't come to Jeremy Creek for 20 years. And it's like all these kids. It only seems to be populated by kids, just like these in these dilapidated shacks in the middle of nowhere.
right,
And then suddenly he
which I
turns up.
guess I guess to be fair, we're also operating on the notion that no one in Jeremy Creek has ever written a letter to Santa. Um,
They couldn't afford the
because that
postage.
would probably bring it to his attention. Uh,
That's true.
I guess maybe they're so destitute that they can't afford the materials to do such a thing. The post
That
office
could
has been
be.
destroyed. Maybe if this is expanded Hanna-Barbera universe, because it is made by Hanna-Barbera, maybe Grape Ape stormed through and stomped out the post office.
he he had one of his famous sobbing fits, and he just completely flooded the town and destroyed its infrastructure. Then he said his famous catchphrase, "I'm sorry," and left devastation in his wake.
How is that a famous catch? Maybe his cadence is famous, but that's not a catchphrase to apologize.
Who can say? Dick Van Dyke should have told us this in the narration. Grape
Yeah.
Ape had come the previous winter. He'd killed all the grown-ups by throwing his
If you
sphincter.
if you if you survive the Thanksgiving onslaught of Big Paw, the Great Ape would come finish the job the next month.
Who's the real enemy? The Berenstain Bears were all viciously killed by Grape Ape the following year.
Big Paw was fucking usurped. Great Ape just served his ass on a platter. It is like, I'm the new sheriff in town.
Oh god.
uh, I do have like a soft spot for like the mistake at Christmas time leading to something kind of nice. And I think this is actually a really cute story of that. But like you were saying, it does not need to be a half hour long. Um,
I guess they had Dick Van Dyke, and you may as well you may as well use him. You don't get him
yeah,
in there for
yeah.
10 seconds.
Oh man, did Dick Van Dyke recently die? Is he alive?
Oh no, he's fine.
Okay, who am I thinking of that passed away not long ago?
Dyke Van Dyck.
Sure, Grape Ape got him too.
Let me just check he is alive. I'm pretty sure he is. He is indeed, yes, he's 95 years young.
Golly, well, I'm glad he still had the energy to lend himself to the voice of older Jeremy Creek.
Did he voice everybody in this, or is he just the narrator?
He's just the narrator.
Okay.
It was a bunch of uncredited people on Wikipedia. Something about the mom is really familiar to me.
Hmm.
can't quite. I wonder if she was just like uncredited as like a non-union job for Hanna Barbera or something. Because I feel like it has to be someone.
Hmm. What's this called again?
The the title that you forgot, the town that Santa forgot.
Oh, The Town That Santa Forgot. There was also a film called The Town Christmas Forgot, which was what I just searched for. And it was
Right.
live action. And I was like, oh, they've done a live action adaptation of it. Town What on earth? No. Hang on. Bear with me. There's potential trivia to be had. Let's see. Uh, um, nope, nobody famous.
Okay.
There we go. Neil
Well, and their
Ross
names
is
are all
back in
so
this.
generic that I'm
This
like,
one.
maybe this is just like a cover up. Like they didn't want to be seen in this for whatever reason.
Who's the kid? Oh, the kid was in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. There you go.
Well,
Good.
I
And
mean, I think a lot of
Spawn,
people.
1997. Fantastic.
I mean, if you watch this special, you'd probably want to see him get slaughtered after all of enduring all of his hissy fits.
Who else was? Oh, Paul Williams was in this. He was an elf.
Well,
There you go.
there you go. Are we ready? Are we ready for the highlight of the evening?
I think so. Yes.
Oh my god! So, the title of this one always confuzzles me a bit because it's unnecessarily long. It's like Yogi Bear's All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper. I think I got all the words.
I could not remember the order they were in. In my head, it was like Yogi Bear's All Star Calcavade Christmas Special Caper crossover Endgame.
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series and Knuckles.
And
Um,
Knuckle.
man,
um,
oh man, I sound kind of low energy. I think because talking about Grape Ape has like made me ascend. This I laughed really hard at multiple points in this.
I
Part
thought
of
this
me
was.
wants to, huh?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just said part of me wants to give the credit that they were aware of what they were doing because this isn't like 50s Yogi Bear. I feel like this was maybe made in the 80s, kind of a post acknowledgement of how ridiculous it all is. But
Yeah,
at least unintentionally, maybe some parts here and there. This is one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever seen.
it was really funny. Yeah, like genuinely, it's the most wholesome thing I think we have ever watched on this show. 1982 was when this one came out. So yes.
That tracks. Um, Again, yeah, I can't tell if they know how like if it's just the ridiculousness of these characters in a post acknowledgement era, or if they know what they're doing. I think the funniest goddamn thing is Snagglepuss going heavens to guest cameo and just running into Fred Flintstone and Barney in New York.
Yes. Which I thought they weren't going to explain at first, but they did. Completely subverted my expectations. I was like, they're just going to ignore this. They're just going to be there. It was cleverly tied into the plot.
And there's this funny fucking bit where they're like, why don't you go accost this woman for a donation,
Yeah.
Snagglepuss? And she just has this genuine reaction of, eek, a lion! And beats the shit out of him.
Fred and Barney, you're out of town. 60 million years out of town, or something he says when he sees them. Um,
Which,
yeah,
which insinuates that Snagglepuss is like an ageless spirit that knew Fred and Barney all those years ago.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, how would you even know they existed?
Right.
Hmm. Um, this has like from strength to strength. I think this went like it never lets up or becomes boring. There's
No.
always something going on. There's always some sort of joke. It skips along to all these different plot threads. Like magnificently done. I think this is like genuinely one of the best things we've watched.
I'm glad you think so, because I thought I was being maybe a little too overly enthused about it, but it is really fucking funny.
I was so pleasantly surprised by it. I think Like genuinely very Christmassy. Sometimes I'll watch a Christmas
Hmm.
special and I'll be like, this has not put me in a Christmas mood at all. It's made me disgusted with the very idea of Christmas. But this was like very charming and pleasant.
Yeah, it opens. It's what I based our opening riff on because the whole slew of Hanna-Barbera animal characters, who apparently all live in the city, come to visit Yogi and Boo Boo at Jellystone Park to spend Christmas there. But some miscommunication results in Yogi and Boo Boo going to the city, and so they basically swap places to see all their friends at Christmas. I will say the most ridiculous thing about this special is the sheer number of characters they cram in. Because they come to see Yogi, and Huckleberry Hound's like, I'm Huckleberry, and here's Snagglepuss, Doggy Doggy, Doggy Daddy, Hokey Dokey, Boo da Doo Doo, ha da da. Like, I recognized most of these characters. I think those private investigating animals are fake. The two detective ones, I'm like, there's no fucking
Ah,
way.
are you sure? Because I think they looked vaguely familiar to me, but I couldn't put my finger on.
I'm sure they are real. I'm just joking. I'm like, okay, now you're just making people up. Come on.
Are they in anything else? Is this the
I'm
only
sure they
appearance?
are, is the thing. But there's so much Hanna-Barbera shit that I have no idea. I'm mostly just baffled that in a gigantic cast like this, they still managed to throw in a couple that I don't even know.
So the private investigators are called Super Snooper and Blabbermouse.
Full of shit. Come on.
They had one season of a show which ran from 1959 to 1960.
It's nice that Huckleberry is even friends with the characters that only got one season, you know? There's no elitism among the Hanna-Barbera family.
Must have been
Um,
popular.
um,
They
oh,
do
and
have
Hokey Wolf.
those
Hokey
private
Wolf is their
detectives
season.
do. Oh yes, Hokey Wolf. Um, I'm
What
struggling
about
to remember.
detectives?
I'm struggling to remember like who else was in that crowd. Because it feels like
Well,
it's
they're,
about 20 characters, but maybe there's not that many.
Well, they start just when they're in the city looking for the little girl. They start like out of nowhere. Magilla Gorilla, Wally Gator, and Yaki Doodle are also all there. They're like, "Sorry, Yogi, we looked and we couldn't find them," and that's the first we even see them. And Yogi just acknowledges them and sends them on their way. Like,
Had to get all those
oh
character cameos in. I wonder if this was the
yeah.
first crossover of its kind, which had everybody ever.
I don't think. Well, there was a show called Yogi's Gang where all the animals lived in an ark and they fought like Captain Planet esque villains based on pollution.
What?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
That's surely not a thing.
There's a clip. No, I'm serious. And the best episode is one. You're gonna think I'm making this up. There's the best episode is one where they fight a villain named Doctor Bigot, who like he like he like hits Yogi with a ray that turns him into a racist. But like, there's this great clip where it's Yogi just going, "Well, I don't care for humans," and he like points out every fucking animal on the ark, and I don't like hippopotamuses and lions and dogs and. I think I saw the clip on Twitter just a couple days ago. I'll show it to you later.
Oh, we have to do that next.
Oh, totally. That's Yogi's gang.
Yogi's Gang.
Um,
Shame that
I was
Dr.
plus
Bigot was not the villain of this Christmas special.
he's the one. Well, again, wider Hanna Barbera cinematic universe theory. Maybe he's the one who coerced Miss Pac-Man to say that slur in their commercial.
Maybe he was. Very nicely tied back.
Yeah. Um, I was happy to see Mr. Jinx in this one too, because he's the lamest Hanna Barbera character, and I love him exactly for that because they kept trying to make him work. He's literally a ripoff of Tom from Tom and Jerry, who chases mice. But they're like, how do we set him apart? And it's just Dawes Butler doing a Marlon Brando impression.
I seem to have forgotten that character. I can't visualize them.
I think we've all. It's like they wanted to do Tom and Jerry, but they're like, oh, just have him sound like Marlon Brando, and he's going, oh, I'm gonna chase the mice.
Oh, that sounds familiar, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of voices in this. Like everyone has a very distinct voice, which I guess is that's Hanna Barbera for you.
Well, I was gonna say you could kind of start to tell where Dawes Butler I feel like Hokey Wolf is just like Dawes Butler phoning it in at a certain point. He's like, I gave a voice to Yogi and 10 others. Let me just. He sounds like most of the others, all right?
Who is the who's the one in like the pink hat, the fox guy?
Is that. What does he do in the special?
I don't know if he does anything of importance. I remember him being there. But I
Uh,
cannot for the life of me remember who he is.
is that Hokey Wolf? He has a hat. Oh, but
Oh,
his,
it might
his
be
hat is
Hokey
like.
Wolf.
I think that is Hokey Wolf. I don't really. I'm going to look up the cast list of this special.
It is definitely Hokey Wolf who I'm thinking of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's him. I couldn't tell you what his like defining traits are. I don't think he really has a thing. So, animals in this special. Dawes Butler as Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, Quick Draw McGraw, Mr. Jinx, Hokey Wolf, Augie Doggy, Snooper and Blabber, Dixie, and Wally Gator. And that's not including that Barney Rubble, Fred Flintstone, McGilla Gorilla, Boo Boo Bear, Pixie, Ranger Smith, and Doggy Daddy are all, and Yaki Doodle are all also in this special.
There's a lot of characters.
There's a lot of those sound made up. They're not.
Yeah. It reminds
Um,
me of the bit in The Simpsons where they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land and they're like, Disgruntled Goat, Ku Klux Klam. I don't
and
remember
who
any of
could
these
forget?
characters.
And who could forget Dinner Dog?
Disgruntled Goat at his moments.
We need a new character to fill in this role for the Christmas Yogi Bear Christmas caper. Marge, how about Ghost Mutt? You know who's always great no matter what is Ranger Smith.
He is good in this. I like the scene
He's
where he rings Yogi and gets his answering machine and then just starts shouting at the answering machine as though it's a real person.
oh my god. He's just always so fed up with everything, and this one bear that happens to live in his park has him trekking out presumably to New York. Oh my god. Poor Ranger Smith. He's
I like
great.
how he ends up with all these other animals on that bus and gets roped into the adventure. I didn't quite understand his reasons for leaving though, because his whole thing seems to be that Yogi has not got into hibernation, so he's annoyed that he won't have any peace. But Yogi's out of town anyway, so I don't know
He's
why he
gone to
feels the need.
pursue. I guess he feels responsible in some way. He's got like I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, but I think it is that he puts himself in those situations that's very Ranger Smith. Is that he could have peace, but he's too upholded by his responsibility to actually spare himself. You know what I mean?
I do like the fact that he's supposedly like Yogi's arch nemesis, but he also has a portrait of Yogi on his wall, which I think like sums up their relationship quite nicely. I think.
oh yeah. It's kind of like, do you know that clip from the game Shadow the Hedgehog where the president has a framed photo of Sonic the Hedgehog in Shadow just on his
I don't
desk?
remember that now.
Ugh. There's some. I always like when they go really verbose with Yogi too. I think when he fesses up that he's not really Santa, he says something to the effect of, "I'm not Santa. I'm merely his effective facsimile." There's
Yeah.
just something that really tickles me about when Yogi goes into like 5 syllable words.
Yeah, it's when he overly explains things. I think
Mm-hmm.
every time gave me a laugh. Like he's when he sees the little girl, he's like, "Hey, it's a child of the female variety."
oh my.
There's a bit later on which made me laugh for ages, where he's like, "Boo, boo, would you care to join me in my office?" And they're in
And
a
they just go
park
like
anyway.
5 feet away.
They go like 5 feet away into a phone box, and they're just standing there while they've left this girl on her own in the park. Uh,
Gosh, this is yeah. Yogi basically accidentally kidnaps someone in this because he
yes,
doesn't have the heart to tell this girl he's not Santa. But when he does, she's like, "Oh, I've been for like 3 hours. I just don't want to go back to my dad.
yeah.
He sucks."
Which was an interesting twist because I thought she wasn't actually going to have like a family at all. But then they're like, no, she does. He's just a terrible father.
Yeah.
And he redeems himself at the end after a citywide manhunt for Yogi. in which people think he is a child kidnapper.
Which I do like the just the awareness that the people of this city, as judging by that woman's reaction to Snagglepuss, where she's like, "This is dead ass a lion who's going to eat me." They
Yes.
don't seem to have, even though they all live in the city. They're like, "We've come from the city to see Yogi," meaning Snagglepuss. Oh wow, I'm like decoding layers of commentary that Snagglepuss is oppressed for. Like maybe they're all homophobic. I don't know. Um, Gosh, yeah, I don't. Maybe they wouldn't react to everyone else the same way. I don't know, but they seem to be terrified by the predatory animals, even though they seemingly live in the city. I this whole thing,
It's there's a lot of layers to the Hanna-Barbera extended universe, isn't there?
right?
So much
Man, all
subtext.
and there's the layer that if we assume animals can be domesticated and talk like Scooby, maybe they just assume, oh, Huckleberry Hound is just somebody's dog, whereas a lion is like a big fucking deal.
Yeah, a lion in a shirt collar,
Yeah,
but
man.
not a shirt.
No, that's gotta save money. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this one was really cute. I'm glad you like. I was on Letterboxd and just like, and again, this is on Letterboxd because it is a special, and I was like, I was struggling what to give it because no numerical star value can summarize just the out of body experience I had when Snagglepuss accosted Fred and Barney in a New York City block while collecting donations for like presumably something to the effect of the Salvation Army.
Yeah, I assumed it was like Veterans Aid or something like that.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, wonderful though. Probably yeah, definitely the highlight of this particular set.
Oh yeah, well, like undoubtedly, like genuinely good as well. I think.
Yeah.
I can't really lay a single criticism at the door of this Christmas special. It's just nice. Um,
I know there's another Yogi Christmas special about Yogi getting to have Christmas for the first time because he's usually hibernating. And that sounds kind of cute.
ah,
Maybe that's another year.
well, we've watched a lot of Yogi related things on this show.
Yes.
um, will be there will be another one coming up at some point. The whoremonger one. And I feel like we've have we ever watched any more Hanna Barbera? Or am I imagining things?
We've definitely watched stuff made, well, like Pirates of Dark Water is technically Hanna-Barbera, right?
Oh yeah, of course. And Monster in My Pocket.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think if we've ever done any of their like really schlocky stuff. Um,
I don't think we have. I think we've touched upon it in other things, but no, I don't know
yeah.
if we have.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If we ever want to do something newer, I'd love to see your reaction to the insanity that is Jellystone. Or you know what? We do. I feel like we've locked in that GRAPE has to happen at some point.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
We could do a whole Hanna Barbera podcast because they've made so many fucking shows.
I know we could do a lot of Hanna Barbera content. I think.
I don't know if I'd survive, but
After a while, they'd all just merge into one. I think.
I think if we got to Charlie Chan and the Chan clan, I think I would like just join William Shatner in a rocket out of this planet.
Was he in Charlie Chan?
No, that was
That was
just
just a
the
real world
best.
reference.
I was just making a hyperbole, timely hyperbole, if you will.
I understand. So you'd join William Shatner in the rocket, but you wouldn't
Yeah.
join Jeff Bezos
Now,
or Elon Musk.
I'd throw if they were both in the same rocket, I'd throw Jeff Bezos out of the window and join William Shatner.
I think that's really the best of all scenarios.
Yeah,
It's the best timeline.
since you know, I'm surprised there's no Hanna Barbera character that's like has the voice because most of those animals are just celebrity impersonations. I'm surprised there's not like I don't know a weasel that sounds like William Shatner.
Maybe Shatner would
We're
have allowed.
searching for Yogi Bear in this Christmas special.
Maybe he would have sued. I feel like William Shatner is a tetchy individual. But then a lot of
Mm,
people do William Shatner impersonations. So maybe he enjoys that.
yeah, he never came for Family Guy, and that episode killed him.
Oh yeah. It was a positive portrayal. Maybe that's what he
Yeah,
judges
he
it
was.
by.
I guess he was nice, even if he was like crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that wraps up. Martin, would you open the improvised gift basket underneath the tree for you there? You get to decide what's inside. I hope the result is hilarious.
Why, certainly, I would be delighted. Oh, it's Mutant League.
Next time.